I want you to think seriously about this question, because by the end of this video essay, you will be shocked by the evidence. Are we living in a computer simulation? What if everything you see, feel, and experience is part of an elaborate computer simulation? It sounds like something out of a science fiction novel or movie like The Matrix, but it has become a topic of philosophical and scientific discussion. The simulation hypothesis suggests that our reality might not be as real as it seems, and instead, we could be living inside an incredibly sophisticated computer program. While it sounds far-fetched at first, the evidence that supports the idea that the universe is a simulation is very compelling, and after hearing it, your mind may be at the very least open to the possibility. The simulation hypothesis was most notably advanced by philosopher Nick Bostrom in 2003. He proposed that future civilizations will have the technological capability to create simulations so detailed that the simulated beings would be conscious, believing themselves to be real. Bostrom argued that if such simulations are possible, then it's highly likely we are already living in one, simply because there could be countless simulated realities, but only one real base reality that exists. Bostrom's argument is based on probability. If civilizations are capable of creating billions of simulations, then the odds of us being in the one real universe are staggeringly low. We're more likely to be one of the many simulated ones. A key point that works in favor of the simulation theory is the rapid progression of technology. Moore's law, which describes the exponential increase in computing power, suggests that within just a few decades, we will have computers capable of running radically complex simulations. Think about how far video games have come in the past 2 or 3 decades. Today's games, like The Sims or Grand Theft Auto, create entire digital worlds where characters have a sense of autonomy. With advancements in virtual reality and artificial intelligence, the human race is inching closer to creating immersive environments that are indistinguishable from reality. Imagine what an advanced civilization millions of years in the future could achieve. They could create simulations so detailed that the simulated beings like us would have no idea they're living in a virtual world. If it's possible for a highly advanced future civilization to achieve this level of technological sophistication, it would be logical for them to create detailed simulations programs when the AI beings become, in essence, conscious. The temptation to simulate and recreate past civilizations or test new worlds would be too great to resist. Some proponents of the simulation hypothesis point to evidence from physics that might suggest our reality is not as physical or concrete as it seems. One intriguing piece of potential evidence comes from quantum mechanics, the study of the smallest particles in the universe. In the quantum realm, particles behave in ways that defy classical physics. For instance, particles can exist in multiple states simultaneously and only collapse into one state when observed. This behavior is eerily similar to the way computer programs optimize their processes. Video games only render the parts of the world that the player is currently looking at, and the rest of the environment doesn't exist until it's needed. Millions of possibilities exist that collapse into a single one as the video game is played. Quantum physics tells us that the universe works the same way. This quantum strangeness could be evidence of a programmed universe that only renders reality when it's observed. Millions or billions of possibilities that collapse into one. Another fascinating piece of evidence comes from string theory, which suggests that the universe at its most fundamental level may be made up of tiny vibrating strings of energy. In 2012, theoretical physicist James Gates discovered that when examining the equations that govern string theory, they contained what appeared to be error-correcting codes, the same kind of codes used in computer software to ensure data integrity. This led some to wonder, why would the universe have built-in error-correcting codes if it weren't a programmed simulation? Another fascinating aspect of the simulation hypothesis is the idea that our universe could essentially be understood as binary code. Just as in The Matrix, where the world is revealed to be a digital illusion made up of ones and zeros, some scientists and philosophers suggest that the fabric of our reality may be built on a similar structure. At its most fundamental level, the universe can be broken down into bits of information. Quantum mechanics reveals that particles behave like binary switches, existing in different states until they are observed, at which point they choose a state, much like a computer bit flipping between 0 and 1. Some theorists argue that the universe itself might operate like an incredibly complex computer program, with the laws of physics functioning as the software's code. This view lends further support to the idea that what we perceive as reality could, in fact, be a sophisticated simulation governed by binary-like information processing. Another argument in favor of the simulation hypothesis is the fine-tuning of the universe. The laws of physics, such as the gravitational constant or the electromagnetic force, are perfectly calibrated to allow for the existence of life. Even a slight change in these constants would result in a universe where stars, planets, and life as we know it could not exist. The odds of these constants being perfectly balanced seem astronomically low if left to chance. This fine-tuning could be seen as evidence of intelligent design, not by a deity, but by programmers who set the parameters of the simulation to create a livable universe. If we were living in a simulation, it would make sense that the creators would have fine-tuned the laws of physics to create a stable environment for us to exist. The Fermi Paradox refers to the apparent contradiction between the high probability of extraterrestrial civilizations existing and the lack of evidence for or contact with those civilizations. Given the vast number of stars and potentially habitable planets in the galaxy, we should have encountered alien life by now. One possible explanation for this is the simulation hypothesis. If we are living in a simulated universe, the lack of evidence for extraterrestrial life could be a deliberate choice by the creators of the simulation. Perhaps they decided to focus the simulation on humanity and left out other civilizations. Or maybe we haven't unlocked a part of the simulation where alien life is revealed. This controlled environment might be another clue that points toward a simulated reality. The simulation hypothesis gains further support when we consider the limits of human perception. Our brains are wired to interpret the world in a particular way based on sensory input, but we know that there's more to the universe than we can perceive. For example, we cannot see ultraviolet light, but we know it exists. If our perception is already limited, it's possible that there are layers of reality beyond what we can comprehend. A simulated universe could operate within these hidden layers, and we, as the inhabitants, wouldn't have the tools to detect it. The idea of the universe being a simulation is certainly compelling and is supported by advances in technology, discoveries in physics, and philosophical arguments. The simulation hypothesis raises profound questions about the nature of reality, the limits of human knowledge, and the potential future of civilization. As technology continues to advance and our understanding of the universe deepens, we may one day discover whether or not we are living inside a computer program. Until then, the possibility that we are part of a grand simulation remains an intriguing and mind-bending possibility. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time in a godless universe.